All right, good. We're recording. All right. Welcome. Introduction to crystal healing. So, all right, hold on. I got to reconfigure my computer here. Nothing like getting a new computer and still having to tweak everything. So, all right. So, like I said before I started the recording, I do have a PowerPoint, but my new computer and Zoom, I don't know why they're not really communicating, but they won't let me, Zoom will not let me show it. So I am just going to talk. And I did have a crystal here. There it is. And I'm just going to share some information, but you are going to get a recording of this, and I will make sure that you get a PDF of the PowerPoint. So don't feel like you got to take a whole bunch of furious notes, okay? I would just rather have you sit back and listen and absorb the information. So, okay, before we get started, I would love to know in the chat, because there's a lot of new people who had signed up for this. I think we had like 40 people sign up for this, and I only recognized a couple of names. So I would like to know in the chat, have you ever taken a crystal class? Like something more than just like maybe an hour, which is what this is going to be. Like, have you ever taken like a substantial crystal class? I would very much like to know. All right, I'm going to open up the chat here. All right. All right, seen no. All right. Yay. Yay. So, um, that's good because I teach in a different way. I teach in a different way. So y'all are a blank slate. This is awesome. But also I want to ask you another question. How many crystals do you have? I would love to know how many crystals you have. Like, are you a frequent buyer or do you just have a couple and you're like, I don't know what to do with them? I would love to know where you're at on the crystal spectrum. Many, many. I hear you. I hear you. All right, lots and lots. Okay. Okay. So, okay, and then another Kim, very few. All right. So, for those of you who have a lot, but you haven't taken any classes, do you really know how to work with them? I know that there's books out there and there's Google, but I'm going to tell you right now that is incredibly limited. And a lot of the information is just not very helpful. All right, just waiting to see if anybody types in the chat. If you're like, yep, I know how to work with crystals, I'm super good. Okay, okay, no, not really. Okay. All right. And that's why y'all are here. Okay, this is really good. So, okay, here. I've got to move my screen because I'm still kind of showing my PowerPoint here. So, for those of you who don't know me, my business is called Manifested Harmony, and I opened that business 14 years ago, almost 14 years ago. I have also been an attorney for 31 years, and my legal focus has always been in the field of criminal prosecution, criminal justice. I specialize in how animal abuse links to family violence. I literally teach all over the world because it's a very unique specialty topic for prosecutors and law enforcement. And as a result of that, I founded a nonprofit called Sheltering Animals and Families Together, where I have been leading the movement to create more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters. So as of now, I've got about 400 in 47 states and 6 countries. Still got a lot of work to do in that. But then I have my wellness business, which actually does take up much of my time. So I have 6 different energy healing certifications, including being an advanced crystal master teacher, I studied for 18 months with a science teacher. So I come at crystals very differently, very differently. Plus, I have a lawyer brain. So things are, I'm not just all logic, but I help you understand logically how crystals work, which then explains the spiritual stuff that everybody else talks about. So I have 6 different energy healing certifications. I have 4 different coaching certifications. I work a lot with essential oils. I'm a Young Living brand partner. I have written um, the Oily Crystal book on how to blend oils and crystals together because it's not as easy as you would think. I've written the Oily Pet book. I just published the Guided Crystal Journal. So I'm going to put this all in the email that I sent to you if you want to get it, because it really helps you understand how a consistent, intentional crystal practice will change your life. Absolutely change your life. And I'm also the creator of the Oily Crystal Masterclass. So, all right, so that's just a little bit about me, and I just want to dive right into the topic. So I want to talk a little bit of science about crystals. So when I teach my crystal classes, and I'm gonna give you the dates and all of that, and I'm really bummed that the PowerPoint isn't working because it would just make it so much easier for you guys to have that information. But I have classes starting next month. I only teach my crystal classes twice a year. I teach them in person in Michigan as well as online. I teach an 8-hour basic class, and about 4 hours of that is the science. I teach an 8-hour animal class, and about 4 hours is the science. And then I teach an 18-hour, it's going to probably grow to a 20-hour class this year, and that's my advanced class. And there's still more that beyond that I don't teach on, and I bring it into my Crystal Cluster student membership group. There's a lot. I mean, the books can give you some really nice definitions, but there is a lot to crystals. So in my crystal classes, I talk about 2 different belief systems. There is the science belief system and the purist. And because I'm a left brain lawyer, prosecutor type of person, I teach about crystals to appeal to both sides of your brain. Because whether you come at crystals from a scientific perspective or a purist perspective, like a very spiritual purist perspective, they're very different, but both are right. And wherever you land is right for you, and you can flip flop back and forth in between. So let's do a little bit of science first. So crystals have what is called a fixed repeating crystalline geometric pattern. This is what differentiates them from stones and rocks. And I'll tell you, I die a little inside when I hear crystal people and crystal sellers calling these rocks or stones. Nope. Totally different definitions. Stones and rocks you find out in your yard. Okay, they do not have a crystalline pattern. They are made from minerals. Crystals, again, also made from minerals, have a crystalline lattice. So there is a process that sparked the crystalline structure inside of them, and it forms from the inside out at a molecular level, and it's called a crystal lattice. And that is what differentiates crystals from stones and rocks. And in some crystals, you can see the growth pattern of how it grows inside and out, but especially in quartz-based crystals, it grows like a corkscrew from the inside out. And it is the shapes of crystals and the patterns that are inside of crystals that really fascinate me the most. And that's what I love to teach my students about what all of these shapes and inclusions and colors really mean. Because when you really understand that, you don't need a book to tell you what a crystal does. And then on the other hand, when I see overly shaped and polished and processed crystals, they honestly have had that crystalline lattice impacted. And they may be beautiful, but they don't have crystal energy to them because it is that lattice that gives the vibrational frequency that makes a crystal. So crystals have what is called a dominant oscillatory rate or a base resonant frequency that is constant. It doesn't fluctuate. So we have a base resonant frequency, but we fluctuate all day long. I mean, we could wake up and feel great, and then we get in our car and encounter traffic and we don't feel great. And then, we pick up a coffee on the way to work and we feel great. And then we get into the office and we see that coworker we don't like and we don't feel great. So we are up and down all day long. Animals fluctuate all day long, but crystals are constant in their base frequency. They are literally set in stone and they are not impacted by entropy, which is destruction. We are impacted by entropy. I mean, we have cells right now, as we're all sitting here, that are growing and dying. Our organs are literally turning over cells and regrowing themselves all the time. So humans and animals suffer from high rates of entropy because our cells are not fixed. We are mostly water. Water fluctuates. It's why we're up and down all the time. And so we do not have a set base resonant frequency like crystals. Now, the one thing that I really love to help people learn is why they are naturally drawn to crystals. One reason is that we have crystals in our body. Okay. So we live in a world full of kingdoms. There's the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, the mineral kingdom. So us and animals are in the animal kingdom. Crystals are in the mineral kingdom. And like plants, trees, essential oils are in the plant kingdom. And they all communicate through vibrational frequency. I mean, if you have pets, you probably have seen them look at each other and then they do something. Like maybe like I have three cats, and I'll tell you, Stella will give Rudy a look and he goes running in the other room. That's vibrational frequency. That's how they communicate. So all of these kingdoms communicate with each other. And so that's the second reason. The animal kingdom, us, we can communicate frequency wise with crystals. We can communicate. Now, our brain may not know what's happening, but at a cellular level, we are having a communication with crystals because crystals are just minerals. We are made up of minerals, and that frequency communication is happening. So, in my 8-hour basic class, I teach about 3 physics principles that really help to explain how the body reacts when it's in the presence of a crystal. Whether you're holding it, you got it in your pocket, I got crystals all over my house. We react to all of that. And the short story is that when it comes to base resonant frequency, humans and animals suffering from high entropy and crystals being a fixed structure and low entropy, what happens is that the crystals actually dominate our frequency at a cellular level. They are the dominant energy. So I go through these physics principles and I show how it works. I even show videos of tuning forks of how frequencies blend together nicely and interact and crash into each other and don't sound very good. But what it really comes down to is that crystals are the larger dominant vibration over humans and animals because crystals don't fluctuate and they don't suffer from entropy, which is why they're millions and billions of years old. We fluctuate all day long. So we are controllable. And I'd rather be controlled by a crystal than by anything else. And so us as a lower vibration, we will start to synchronize with the frequency of the crystal. And so if you are drawn to a crystal, you are literally having a frequency communication with the crystal. Like, have you ever walked up to a table full of amethyst and one amethyst speaks to you? Like, you got a whole table there. You're not drawn to all of them, but there's one that catches your eye. Every crystal is different. Every crystal has a different frequency. There are no two crystals alike in this world, just like a fingerprint and just like a snowflake. There are no two that are exactly the same. So that frequency exchange, your body is lighting up and basically having a hello, crystal, and you're having a conversation. And that's why you're drawn to certain ones. And even if you're repelled, it is still telling your body that you are out of alignment with that mineral frequency. And so you probably should be working with it. So everything is made up of frequency, everything in our world, everything. Okay. The chair that you're sitting on, the glass that has water in it, water has frequency, air has frequency. You and I, we all have frequency. Everything has a vibrational frequency rate to it. And when it comes to crystals, crystals are 100% minerals. If they are real, now there's fake ones out there made of glass, ugh. But every mineral in a crystal has a specific vibrational frequency. And then the concentration of the mineral in combination with other minerals that actually make up the crystal is what differentiates each and every crystal. So you can find amethyst that is really dark or really light. Here, hold on. I'm going to grab. I'm just going to have to do a little demonstration. So this, I don't know if you can see it. It's a very pale lilac purple. You see that? This is a Veracruz amethyst. And then this, you see this? It looks almost black. It is a deep, deep purple. This is a Trapiche amethyst out of Brazil. These are both amethyst. Look how different they are. Very, very different. Very different in how they grow because of the location of where they come from. So this darker one has a heavier concentration of iron than the lighter one from Veracruz, Mexico. This has very, very little iron because it's the iron that turns this purple. And when you really understand what iron does, I mean, what does iron do for the body? Cleanses blood, cleanses organs, boosts metabolism, boosts the immune system. That's what all the crystal books say. So when you understand the minerals, you start to understand what crystals really do. Okay? So every crystal is different and every crystal is going to relate to you differently. And so when we have crystals in our home or on us, or we are holding them, we become the crystal. We become the frequency because it's dominant. It is literally dominating our energy. I want you to think about that friend, family, or coworker who has a very dominant personality, and whether they are in a great mood or a toxic, complaining mood, because they have such a big personality and a strong personality, they're dominating you. You know, those people you can't get a word in because they're just monopolizing the conversation. Consider the crystal your domineering friend who's monopolizing the conversation and changing the frequency of your body. So, what is also fascinating about crystals is crystals have an energy field to them. And in my basic class, I teach you how to measure it. But we also have an energy field. And our energy field is like an egg shape around us. And that's why we can just be walking somewhere and we can be picking up other people's energies. It's why some people are very sensitive in a crowd. You can pick up other people's energies and you come home and you're exhausted. Yeah, because you got all their junk in your energy field. And so we can actually work crystals in our energy field. So what is really fascinating about our body and our energy field, if you have never read the book Biology of Belief by Dr. Bruce Lipton, I would highly recommend you put that on your book list to read it next. It will dramatically change how you think about health, wellness, and the physical body. In that book, he talks about how our DNA has fractal antennas on them, like these little sensors that examine our surroundings for frequencies all day long. And these little antennas will reshape our DNA to synchronize with what it is attaching to. I mean, so many people think our DNA and our biology and our genetics are set in stone. Far from it. Far from it. The whole field of epigenetics has blown that out of the water. So we fluctuate all day long because our DNA has these little antennas. So would you rather have your DNA antenna latching onto a negative person or latching onto your Wi-Fi router or latching onto a crystal? That's just pure mineral energy coming from the earth because the earth is very healing. So when we introduce a crystal into this energy field that we have, crystals act as an oscillator. Oscillators are frequency stabilizers. And then our energy field starts to entrain or synchronize. I mean, these are physics principles. We will entrain or synchronize our energy with the crystal. And this is how we shift. This is how we transform. This is how we remove energy blocks. This is how we change our frequency. Okay. So I go into detail in my classes about all of this, but get this, okay? I need to read this to you. So there was a discovery in 1991 by two scientists who discovered 40,000 sensory cells in our heart. It's called sensory neuritis. And these cells work independently of the brain. Okay, so we got these 40,000 cells in our heart, and it is a neural network independent of the brain that proves that our heart thinks. Our brain is not the only thinker. Our heart thinks, and it remembers, and it feels independent of the brain because of these sensory cells. This is why when you experience trauma, it is experienced in the brain and in the heart simultaneously, which is why talk therapy doesn't fully work. Talk therapy is for the brain, not for the heart. So coherence between the heart and brain is when the heart and the brain are communicating together, and crystals can help with that. Because the vibrational frequency of crystals being stronger than human willpower to sabotage us helps us get into coherence. And that's where the magic of healing and manifestation happens. So I love learning from quantum physicists and cellular biologists and all of these scientists who are like, of course, crystals work. That's why my tagline for my business is woo woo says who. Crystals are not woo woo. You can make it woo woo, but they're not. You could make pizza woo woo. You could. You could talk about, oh, the cheese and the tomato sauce just puts me into such a happy mood. Okay, I'm sorry. That's woo-woo, okay? It's cheese and it's tomato sauce. We can turn anything woo-woo, and whoever went down that road to dismiss crystals, I gotta tell you, I will go toe to toe with them any day. You bring them to me. You bring them to me. And I will start hitting them with quantum physics and physics principles, and they will not be able to counteract it. These are powerful. So, crystals contain the DNA of the earth, and the earth has a healing frequency. I mean, I think we all know that. You know, I go to Lake Michigan all the time. I was just there a couple of days ago, and it's all frozen and beautiful. It's healing. The woods are healing, the mountains are healing, water is healing. And crystals literally come from the earth. The earth just pushes them up to us, and they are just 100% minerals. And so, this is a way of bringing nature, bringing that earth frequency into our life. And so, because crystals transmit frequency, because they are mineral frequency from the earth, by holding a crystal, you're going to feel it, you're going to synchronize to it. You can change the frequency of your house by having crystals. And, so I love teaching people to understand what crystals are made of, and then that tells you exactly what they do. For example, crystals that have iron and aluminum, like amethyst. This amethyst has iron in it. The spiritual part of the crystal books talk about how amethyst is protective and it's grounding. It'll ground an anxious mind, a jittery energy and help calm you down. And when I was first starting to take crystal classes, I was that student who was so annoying because I'm like, who came up with this? Like, why? Why? Nobody could answer that until I started studying with a scientist. And then even from there, after my mentorship and my certifications, I kept digging. What does iron do? Think coat of shining armor. Iron is protective. Iron is a heavy metal. When you think of heavy metals, do you think of something that is grounded, hunkered down into the earth? That's what grounded means. That's what calm means. Iron is protective. Amethyst is protective, can literally protect your energy. So when you start understanding crystals in that vein, you then understand what all the crystal books talk about that they don't explain because they're not thinking that way. All the crystal books just regurgitate the same information over and over again. And I'm not saying that they're wrong. Some of the stuff is crazy, but I'm not saying that they're wrong. It's just they can't explain it. They can't explain it. I try to teach my students so that they can explain it if anybody asks them. So, there's a lot, unfortunately, there's a lot of fake crystals out there. There's an increasing amount of lab created, laboratory altered, and overly processed crystals on the market that just don't have a crystalline lattice. And I really educate my students and help them understand how to buy the real crystals and let go of ugh, the ones that are not real. So, all right. So what else did I want to talk about? Let me dive into the current energies. I'm going to give you some crystals that can really help you. Okay, in the chat, how are y'all feeling right now? If you were to pick one emotion, what's your predominant emotion? Are you joyful? Are you fearful? Are you angry? Are you anxious? Are you okay? I see calm. Well, that's great. That's great. Happy? Okay, fantastic. We are living in what I call an energetically stressful world. We're in an energy shift right now, and most people recognize that things are shifting and changing. They can't necessarily explain why, or they don't really understand it. But I really see it in how physically unwell people are, how emotionally imbalanced people are. I see it in like nervous system disorders that we never used to have. I see it in like spiritually how disconnected people are from recognizing truth because their intuitive centers are just completely shut down because people are busy and they use busyness to avoid feeling their emotions and really dealing with what they need to deal with. And I have found that crystals are one of the best tools for dealing with the energy shift because it's simple to work with crystals. So, part of this shifting energies that we're in, the Earth's vibration is changing. It is increasing in frequency. And it's leaving people and animals feeling anxious and ungrounded. I have yet to meet a dog that doesn't have anxiety. I mean, I've been an animal protection attorney for 31 years and I've done a lot of rescue and shelter work. I have yet to meet a dog that doesn't have anxiety. That's not normal. Okay. But dogs and animals really feel the frequency of the earth. So crystals can ground us. Iron and aluminum based crystals can really ground us and ground our home so that we basically ride the roller coaster and just do not feel anxious through the process. We also have technology and electromagnetic frequencies. We have no idea what they're doing. They're unseen, they're untested. Nobody wants to fund a research study on either the benefits or the dangers of Wi-Fi. Nobody wants to do that. So because we are 70% water, water changes structure. I go into this in my classes to show you what happens when you change the frequency of water. And we can utilize crystals to help stabilize the water in our body. We are also exposed to toxins. I mean, toxins in our food, toxins in our bath and body products, toxins in the air, and that stresses and negatively impacts our DNA. And crystals can help our DNA synchronize in a healthy way. We're also surrounded by toxic emotions. I mean, there's a lot of divisiveness in the world. Um, there's stressed out people in the workplace. There are a lot of unhealed people that haven't worked on their inner wounds or their shadow self, and it just kind of blah, just kind of comes out. And crystals can help you really be calm and really kind of shift with the energies and keep you very balanced. Because in this shift that we're in, we have to ground our energies as well as raise our frequency at the same time. And that sounds like, well, how do I do that? Like, how do I ground and raise my frequency at the same time? Crystals do that. There are a lot of crystals that are both grounding and high vibrational at the same time, and amethyst is one. Okay. So, the big part of this energy shift is we are being asked to ground, to raise our frequency, to work on our shadow self, which is just the part of us that we hide. Maybe we started hiding it in childhood. To release our blocks, to release the unforgiveness, and to release the disempowerment. And we will keep getting challenges until we work on these. Crystals are amazing because they are literally changing your frequency. And every emotion, everything has a frequency to it. And so when you can tune in to the antidote instead of fear, you have courage or you have love. When you can tap into the antidote and have courage and love, you start realizing, wow, I don't worry like I used to. I feel calm when I never did before. So when I send you an email with this recording and all the information, I'm going to send you information on a community I have called the Sacred Shift. Actually, the doors to the Sacred Shift closed on January 1st, but I'm temporarily opening them for all of you who registered for this, just until the end of the month. And I'll even give you a discount code if you want to get in. But this is where I help people understand the energy shift. We talk crystals, we talk essential oils, we talk about food. We talk frequency and what is happening energetically in real time. And we work with the seasons and just have a safe space to really talk about how we can thrive in these energies. It's really, really a full community. I'll put that in an email so that you have it. So, all right. So, with everything that's going on around us, all the stressors and everything, there are ways that you can easily work with crystals if you know what you're doing, if you know what the crystals do, if you know how to work with them, and where to place them. One thing that I love to do is crystals all around my home. I'm not kidding when I say I have about 500 pounds of crystals in my home. It's a little obscene, to be honest. It's a little much, but they are all strategically placed. All strategically placed. I mean, right here underneath my feet, I have a huge apophyllite crystal. I'll talk about that in a second. I got crystal grids here. I got crystals there. I have crystals on my desk. You can't put all crystals on your desk. There's certain ones that you can, certain ones that you can't. I have crystals strategically placed all over my house and even in my yard. So, a really nice sized piece in your home can literally fill your whole home with good frequency energy. You can put crystals in your workspace. No quartz-based crystals near technology. Mm-mm. That's a hard no. And I explain why in my basic class. You want iron or aluminum-based crystals near technology. You can put crystals on your nightstand to calm the energy so that you get a good night's sleep. So I did a test. I did a test for a month. Oh no, heck, I did it more than that. How long did I do this test? Probably close to 3 months. I think I started it right after Labor Day and probably did it all the way through the fall. And I put very high frequency crystals on my nightstand. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. I had to take magnesium pills every night in order to sleep because I was so energized. And as soon as I took those crystals away and put more grounding crystals, like really um, heavy iron amethyst, like the really dark amethyst, I don't need magnesium anymore. So I teach you where to put what. But crystals on your nightstand are amazing, especially if you struggle with sleep or you have kids that struggle with sleep. You can wear crystals, and it depends how you wear them. You just don't put all the crystal bracelets on both arms. It's strategic where you put them. You can put crystals in water and drink it. I am currently drinking clear quartz water. That's all I have in my house is clear quartz water. So we do crystal taste testing in my classes. It's fascinating. My cats drink crystal water. You can put crystals in essential oils. They're safe crystals. Most crystals are not safe to put in liquid or oil, so you need to learn what to look for. You can hold crystals during meditation or prayer or quiet time. You can lay them on your body, and I teach you how to do that in classes. So there are just so many ways that you can work with crystals. Now, I want to give you some recommendations. And again, do not feel like you have to write this down because I'm going to send you a PDF of the PowerPoint, and this is all on the PowerPoint. It's like super easy. Okay, so, just don't feel like you have to write this down, but I want to give you some crystal recommendations, and I'm breaking it down into like two different categories, like the emotions and the issues that we don't want to have, and then follow it up with what we do want. Okay. So I'm not going to give you crystal descriptions. I actually do that in my classes, and you can certainly look up the crystal descriptions. But I wanted to give you a little head start on some crystals because if you have some of these crystals and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that it helped with this, you could start working with them. Um, so all these issues that I'm about to name all have a frequency to them. Fear, anger, love, all of that, all has a frequency to them. Crystals transmute that frequency and turn it into the frequency of the crystal, which is never negative. Oh, I need to go off on a tangent. Okay, bear with me before I get to these crystals. If you ever see a crystal, pick up a crystal, and you're like, ooh, it has a bad energy to it, hard no. Not possible. Not possible at all. Crystals do not take on negative energy. They're millions and billions of years old. So I explain in my classes how this is, but here's the thing. If human toxic emotions could get absorbed into a crystal, we would have long since destroyed the planet because our entire planet is made up of crystals. We would have blown the whole place up. It is not possible. If you feel any negativity, it is the crystal bubbling up an emotion that's ready to release. That crystal is saying, please work with me. You have this fear and it's ready to go. Like it's right on the surface. Please pick me. But instead, most people are like, ew, you have a negative energy. And I approach so many people at crystal shows and I'm like, can I help you understand why you're feeling this way? Like I'm so intrusive. I'm like, please let me, this crystal really wants to work with you. Crystals do not have negative energy. Okay, I just want to put an end to that right now. It doesn't. It's always speaking with you for your highest good to help you to raise your frequency because the frequency of crystals is more powerful than us. It just wants to raise us. So, with that being said, Okay, for anger and rage, they're different but kind of the same. They have a similar frequency. What you want to work with is angelite, and I'm only going to give you two crystals per category. I could literally give you probably 20 crystals per category. I'm just going to give you two to keep it simple. For anger and rage, angelite and blue lace agate. What's the common denominator with angelite and blue lace agate? They are light blue. What is light blue? I teach color frequency in my crystal classes. Blue is calming. What's the antidote to anger and rage? Calm. You see how this works? Isn't this cool? Ah! All right, anxiety, lithium quartz, and sodalite. Okay, let me say something about I don't know if you've ever heard of lithium quartz. It's a beautiful, you can get pink lithium quartz, green lithium quartz. I mean, it's beautiful. The lithium inside just turns colors, and it is promoted for people with bipolar disorder. I did quite a lengthy video, probably a month ago on TikTok, and then I had to break it up on my Facebook and my Instagram pages because they could only be 90 seconds long. A crystal seller in the UK who I highly highly respect, went bananas on TikTok about lithium quartz and people prescribing it, as he put it, for people with bipolar disorder. And he said, that's criminal. You ought to go to jail for saying that. I came back with a different response. I didn't tag him. I don't do that on social media. I think that's kind of rude. um, but I came back with an alternative response, knowing that everything is energy. Everything is energy. When we hold a crystal, we are taking in the frequency of whatever the mineral is in the crystal. Iron, aluminum, very grounding, very calming. Silica, which is quartz, it's very uplifting, which is why, quartz and Himalayan quartz and Lemurian quartz, all the quartzes are very, very high vibrational. Well, lithium has a frequency to it. People with bipolar take lithium pills. Lithium is a mineral. They take lithium pills. So lithium has a frequency that is the antidote to bipolar. So whether you're ingesting it or holding it, our body takes it in. And if you work with essential oils, you have probably learned that. Whether you smell, topically apply, or ingest an essential oil, it does the same thing. Same thing with crystals. Make sense how that works? So anyway, had to give you that little story about lithium quartz. You can find that on my social media channels because I explained it in greater detail. All right, if you have apathy, you're lethargic, you're stuck, you're like, really don't care about much. Like, I wake up, I do what I need to do through the day, I go to bed, I rinse and repeat. Not really passionate about anything. You need to work with Lemurian quartz or selenite to raise your frequency, to get you out of that apathy and stuck energy. If you know you have blocks, whatever the block is, you need to work with demoterite. Demoterite is a blue-based quartz, it's got a beautiful blue mineral in it, demoterite, or stellar beam calcite, also known as dogtooth calcite. Those two are really powerful. For depression, sadness, just melancholy, that you don't know what is coming from. It's not situational, it's not grief. It's just, I just always kind of feel down. Citrine, okay? Citrine is yellow. Yellow has the energy of the sun. I live in Michigan. In the winter, when the sun comes out, we are so joyful. In the summer, we run like feral cats. You cannot pin down a Michigander in the summer to do anything because we're all out off to the lake and we're up north and we're partying because the sun is out. We're so joyful. That's what citrine is. Citrine is sun energy. It's got that yellow in it. Smoky quartz is another good crystal for depression. Now, for fear, for fear. Fear is rooted in anxiety. Fear stands for false expectations appearing real. They're not real. They're in the future. You don't know if something's going to happen, but you're already getting yourself worked up with anxiety and fear. So you need to ground that energy. Black tourmaline has iron and aluminum in it. You need black tourmaline or prehnite. Prehnite is a beautiful green colored crystal and it's working on your heart energy because a lot of fear settles in the heart. Now, if you have grief that is different from just regular depression that is not specific to anything, but if you have grief, moonstone is good, as is rose quartz. And then if you feel overwhelmed, you need black tourmaline to kind of calm and ground yourself, as well as celestite. Celestite is a beautiful light blue, gemmy looking crystal, and that really helps with the overwhelm. It's light blue, it's calming, and calm is the antidote to overwhelm. All right, let's go to things that you want. So those were all things that we don't want. We don't want that. So we can work with a crystal to undo that energy. But once you undo the energy, then you have to imprint in a new energy, an opposite energy. So what do you do if you want an abundant mindset? Like you want positivity and optimism. So you've dealt with depression or grief and you're like, I want an abundant mindset. I want to be more positive. I want to be more optimistic. Citrine, again, that's sun energy. And then green aventurine. Some people pronounce it aventurine. I pronounce it aventurine. So green aventurine is the abundant crystal. Everybody says citrine is. Citrine was. Really isn't anymore. But you work the two of them together, it's powerful. It's powerful. If you need courage and empowerment, Demoterite, which I just mentioned before, which is a bluish quartz. And for those who know what the Master Isis quartz is, I teach that in my advanced class. I've sold a lot of those in my Facebook crystal sales. But the Master Isis quartz is really good for courage and empowerment. It's a very like feminine empowerment energy. For happiness and joy, citrine again is a good one. And pink Himalayan quartz. Pink Himalayan quartz. Even golden Himalayan quartz, now that I'm thinking about it. That would also be a good one. Himalayan quartz is a very high vibrational quartz from the Himalayan mountains. It's not your Arkansas quartz. It is miles and miles above better. It is fantastic. If you want to work on your intuition and discerning truth, this is one of the critical things that humans are being asked to basically upgrade and do right now. We all have intuition. It's just we don't listen to it. We busy ourselves. So the crystals that I like, I would say the top two are apophyllite and azurite. Those are my top two. Now there's a lot of crystals that help with intuition and discerning truth. And what I mean by discerning truth is when you see something or hear something, you will get a visceral reaction in your body. And only you know if that visceral reaction is that is true or that is false. For me, when I say something that is true, I get goosebumps like crazy, especially if it's something that like I can't necessarily support with research study. Like I say something that sounds out of the blue. Oh my gosh, I get like goosebumps like crazy. And that is my body saying, that's truth. That's truth. So crystals will help you figure that out. And I teach you how to do that in my basic class. For love, like self-love, compassion to others, I like kunzite and rhodochrosite. Those are two very good ones. For passion and creativity, which is the antidote to being lethargic and having apathy and feeling stuck. The antidote is passion and creativity. I like carnelian and green aventurine. To raise your frequency, oh my gosh, I could hand you 100 crystals, but my top two are Herkimer diamonds. They're not real diamonds. They're from Herkimer County, New York, and they are fantastic. Oh, and I have some here. This one has a little bit of carbon in it. You can see that black dot. So Herkimer diamonds and selenite. There's a selenite. Isn't that neat? Super high vibrational. And then to transmute electromagnetic frequencies, I actually show videos in my basic and my animal class of the crystals. I take an EMF detector and I put crystals in front of electrical outlets, a microwave, a coffee pot, and show how they block. Top two, black tourmaline and Nuumite. A lot of people haven't heard of Nuumite. Nuumite. Nuumite only comes from Greenland. And I show you the videos of how they work. So when people say, oh, get this crystal, it'll block EMFs, I show you how it actually works. It's so cool. It is so cool. So again, you're going to get this list in the email. And having crystals on you or around you is fantastic, but the real transformation happens when you know how to work with crystals in specific ways and you understand what the crystals do and you do it with intention consistently. Okay? That's what I teach in my classes. So, let me talk about my classes for a second. So, like I said, I teach an 8-hour basic, I teach an 8-hour animal class, and then after you take one of those, you're eligible to take the advanced class, which is 18 hours. You will get the science of crystals, scientific makeup of crystals. So, in the basic and the animal class, you'll get, excuse me, you'll get the science, how crystals influence energy, crystal forms, crystal cleansing. Cleansing is not necessarily what you think it is. How to program certain crystals. You will get 10 crystals with the basic class or the animal class, 10 crystals to work with right then and there. You will learn about those crystals. You will learn about chakra balancing, how to make crystal grids. I love crystal grids. How to make body grids, how to make crystal elixirs, how to use crystals safely with pets if you take the pet class. You get a total of 16 crystals with each class. Okay, we're going to talk about 10, but you get extras of one particular crystal specifically for making grids. And the basic and the animal class has over a 50-page workbook that you get that I wrote. And I've been updating for 12 years. My advanced class goes deep. I mean, if you think that there was no more science, there is a lot of science. Learning how crystals are formed, going deep into sacred geometry, more about the energy shift. I spend about 2 to 2.5 hours on how to identify fake crystals. I even give you information in the basic and the animal class on how to identify some common fake crystals, but I go deeper in the advanced class. I also talk about the master quartz crystals. That will forever change how you look at clear quartz. I love the master quartz. I go into I'm tweaking this right now, but anywhere from 22 to 25 advanced crystals, how to work with them. We go into advanced chakra layouts, advanced body grids, advanced crystal grids, advanced tools that you can work with, crystal ethics. You get that workbook is about 140 pages right now. It's intense, and you get additional crystal tools in that class to work with. So I will put all of this in an email for you. And right now, oh, I also offer 3 certifications for anybody who has any sort of business where you want to add crystals to it. You could be a massage therapist, you could be a reflexologist, a yoga teacher, a veterinarian, and you want to add crystals, to your modality. I offer a certified crystal healer, a certified animal crystal healer, and then a certified advanced crystal healer. So there's three different options there after the advanced class. That's when you unlock the certifications and do the tasks. So let me give you the dates. And I'm going to put this all in the email. My basic 8-hour class is coming up in Lansing, Michigan on February 21st, or online. It's going to be two morning sessions, February 22nd and 23rd. That's a Saturday and a Sunday. So it's basically 9 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., February 22nd and the 23rd. Okay. The animal class I only have online. That again is a 9 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., March 1st and 2nd. Then after you take one of those, you can take the advanced class, and I offer a bundle discount if you take basic and advanced or animal and advanced in the same season, you get a discount. I also give a discount on the animal class to anybody who works or volunteers with animals. So I like to help people with that. So the advanced in person in Lansing, Michigan is March 14th and 15th. And then the online advanced, again, half days, 9 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Eastern, March 22nd, 23rd, 29th, and 30th. So it's a Saturday, Sunday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay. So, all right. I'm going to email you a bunch of information. Again, I apologize. I got to figure out this Zoom. I do so many Zooms. I do not know why it wouldn't show the PowerPoint. But I hope you join one of the upcoming classes. I'll put links in there if you want to grab the Guided Crystal Journal. It's a really, really cool book that I just published. If you want to join the Sacred Shift, I'll put that in there. Um, and I also just launched on my website, Blind Date with a Crystal. If you don't know where to start, I have Blind Date with Crystal on my website. 4 options. You can pick your date, and I pick the crystal for you and send it to you. So it's really cool. I'm very excited to get that launched. So you guys are the first to hear of it. All right. So at this point, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to stop the recording and then I can unmute the line, and if you guys have any questions, you can ask that. And for anybody who's watching the recording, you can always email and reach out to me. But thank you very much for being here, and I'm going to stop the recording.